Finally tonight, we're going to end kind of the way we started by talking about the wonderful people of our district and their impact. One of the things I'm most proud of this year, and Kimberly, I don't mean to step on any of your thunder here, but one of the things I'm most proud of this year was how this board and this leadership team prioritized our employees and went above and beyond to connect with them and acknowledge the difficulties that they faced throughout last year and continue to face this year. But so I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about how our district really intentionally worked on employee support. And I believe, and again, I'll let HR kind of talk about it, but I believe it also helped us in our recruitment efforts this year, where other districts did not maybe do some of the same things we did. And this is the kind of work that teachers talk about to other people and to bring these really incredible, high-quality professionals to our district. So, Ms. Freeman, go ahead and kick us off.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Little, and thank you to the members of the board for allowing me to be with you tonight. As I've listened throughout the evening, as a student of Lexington One, as an employee now of Lexington One, and as a parent of students in this district, it's really been a little bit overwhelming to think about what our employees have done the past 16 months. You know, having been in the gig here for a little while and lived through some challenging experiences, nothing has prepared me personally or professionally for what we've walked through these past months. And I believe that to be true for probably the vast majority of our employees who continue to show up every day and do the very best that they can for our students, regardless of all that is swirling around them. And I bring you thanks tonight for the way that you continue to support and encourage our employees, and just want to celebrate some of what we've been able to do to hold hands and walk alongside of folks through the last few months. As you know, there's some sort of hallmark things that happened over the last year that were really, I think, tremendous for our employees. So, for example, our board members approved a one-time payment to our employees last December of $1,000 to our full-time employees, $500 to employees working less than 30 hours a week, and then the $500 for subs who worked 45 days each semester. And that was an incredible, I think, gesture and just statement of gratitude and support for our employees, and something that we certainly heard, and I hope you did as well, a lot of thanks for. But there were also some continued measures in place across the year that we wanted to highlight this year, and one of the ones that I think has been incredibly significant is this idea of thinking really strategically about extended leave for employees across the pandemic. So as you know, the leave began under the Families First Coronavirus Response Act with the emergency paid sick leave provision. It was that 80 hours for most employees, right? It was that leave that was given under that federal legislation that began in April of 2020. And so we began at that time to start tracking that leave and walking with employees who were excluded based on their own COVID symptoms, based on quarantine requirements due to a close contact exposure, based on folks in their house. The original FFCRA had some components for people who were caring for someone under a quarantine or an isolation order. So that was in place from April the 1st through December, 31st of 2020, right? At the end of December, when that particular act sunsetted, we saw that coming and were unsure of what the federal government would do, whether or not that might be extended. And so our board made a decision to act, and we appreciate that, to extend that leave through June the 30th. And so we extended some components of FFCRA, particularly related to an employee's own isolation or quarantine status. And so again, we continued to work with employees under that leave. And so that was in place through June the 30th. In the spring of 2021, we were extremely grateful to have the opportunity for employees to pursue a COVID-19 vaccine if they decided to do that. And again, we're able to support that with some strategic leave for employees who experience experience side effects as a result of the vaccine. And so throughout that school year, as employees had close contact exposures, not just in their personal lives, but professionally to students and staff through the essential functions of their job. We also supported them with a district-based leave so that that would protect their annual leave and their COVID leave across that. So in all those ways, we were able to navigate those extended leave opportunities. We made it our goal to reach out to each employee as quickly and compassionately as possible to walk through what was very often a scary situation and help folks navigate that across the semester, or well, the spring semester, all right? And so that was the leave that was in place through June 30th. We also developed during that time, thanks to Mr. Salters and some other members of our senior leadership team, a partnership with Nephron, which has enabled us to support our employees through quick, free, drive-through rapid testing across the pandemic, so that when our employees do experience symptoms or are looking for a test to potentially into quarantine early, we're able to support them in that. That was really important in the beginning when it was very hard to find a test. It became something that didn't feel quite as urgent for a few months, and boy, are we back to being really thankful for that partnership with Nephron again, as it is hard for employees sometimes to find tests in other places. So that extended leave was one way that we were able to support employees and are still able to do so and are so thankful for that. Another thing the district was able to do is to think really strategically about childcare for our employees when their children were not on campus for a scheduled school day. So particularly thinking back to that hybrid model last year, if my children were scheduled to be e-learning, then the district provided a childcare opportunity for them so that I was able to still keep coming to work, right? It was essential that we provide opportunities for our employees as parents so that they could continue to serve their students in both cohorts. And so we had about 1,000 employee children who were a part of our childcare program at some point during the year last year. That was from pre-K through 8th grade students. And they went to their home school and were served by members of that school staff, instructional assistants, secretaries, housekeepers, food service. We all jumped in to spend time with our children and support their e-learning, which was really a great, not only opportunity for us to be able to serve our employees and their families, but also to build some really neat relationships across our sites and across our faculties. So that was an exciting way to serve our students, our employees. One of the things that was really a ball that was already rolling that I think we probably couldn't have anticipated how important it would become is this last thing that I want to share with you, which is our employee assistance program. So the district entered into a relationship with Deer Oaks Employee Assistance Program, which is a free service provided to all employees and their families. And so through our EAP, we are able to connect our employees with counseling services, with referrals. So it's short-term counseling with Deer Oaks. They will help connect you to longer-term counseling services when that's needed, financial planning, and a whole slew of other services that they provide. And so through this confidential program, so as an employer, we don't know when folks reach out to Deer Oaks. That's not the intent, right? But we're able to connect employees in crisis to the Deer Oaks group, and then they're able to connect them to the resources that they need. That's confidential and free, and it's very easy to access through a website and an app. So there are lots of ways for our employees to reach out. And so when we're working with somebody and they're in some sort of situation where they might need some support, we try to be really intentional about putting this service in front of them and just continuing to get the word out. It is new, and it is something our employees are still learning about, they're still experiencing, and they're still developing an understanding of. But it is a program that we are very thankful for. So I just can't say enough tonight how thankful we are for the lift that our employees have done over the past months, and for the ways that everybody in this room has been really purposeful about supporting them. So thank you for that, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
We have an EAP program at the hospital, and it also has been well used, so it was great the district did that.
It really is exciting.
So for that EAP thing, counseling, what are some other examples that employees would need to use this for?
So it really is a lot about connecting to different services and resources that might exist. So a lot of it's, the big buckets that it centers around are counseling services, either mental health counseling for an employee or a family member, family counseling, or connecting to those resources, financial planning, which includes like help finding services that might be out there to support rent and electricity and some of those kinds of programs. So they do a really nice job of trying to connect employees directly to those services. Basically, you call, you have a conversation with the folks at the, whoever answers in their call center. They get some information from you and get back in touch with you in about 24 to 48 hours, for example, with a list of available counseling services that are all going to work with your insurance. So they vet that for the employee. And they'll even go so far as, like, if I were to say, I would prefer to have an afternoon counseling slot between this and this time, they will send me a list of counselors who have availability during that time. So they do a lot of that initial legwork so that when I'm connecting, I can kind of cut to the chase and go connect with somebody who would be able to help me.
Mr. Salters, we added the EAP to the budget in 2019, is that correct?
It was this past year.
So the
Yeah.
2020 budget?
For the 2020,
For the,
2021.
yeah, for this
Okay.
past year.
Okay, I'm just thinking, like you said, Ms. Freeman, a little bit, that's a great example, y'all added it to the budget as a recommendation for us and the board approved it. And we didn't know at the time how important it was going to be. And so I think that's a good, lesson for us, or, thank goodness you did, because clearly it is something that we didn't know we were going to need, but somebody knew we were going to need it.
Amen.
And so I think that is a very important thing to keep in mind as we, when that sometimes we plan based not on current need, but on future need. And especially when you're dealing with a large staff like we have and students, just anticipating what might be down the road is so important. And I'm just very grateful that we had that in place for our staff.
And on that note, I would challenge us as we continue to look at the ESSER funding and how we can source that. Think about it through the lens of our employees, not just our students, support services for employees. And again, the hospital's full of codes, but we just started a code lavender. And what that is for a unit or a group of nurses and doctors who've either had multiple difficult patient care events in that day, or because of staffing shortages or call-outs or COVID illnesses among the team, can initiate it. And it's a bundle of resources. And food's the simplest thing, but additional attention from administrative as well as HR leadership to that group. And then the other thing, and again, you got to be careful because, I would love it every night, but we now allow our directors and above to identify managers who've gone above and beyond, and then we DoorDash food to their whole family that night, because a lot of times they're not getting home. So again, wherever within the law, in the confines, thinking about wraparound services we can give our teachers and our assistant principals and principals at schools coming from the district level, and y'all would have to adjudicate it, I think makes sense, because it's just another way to say we're with you and we care about you.
Absolutely. All right. Well, if you don't have any other questions, Dr. Little, I think that's it for me.
Thank you very much, Ms. Freeman. And on that note, board, that is the end of our presentations. Thank you for your patience and for your questions. And again, I want to thank the directors and SLT for their work in getting all this together when I realized the days have been busy. And of course, right after a long weekend is also a challenge. So thank you, everyone, for the work that you've done. And board, thank you for the opportunity to present all this information tonight. So that's all I got.
Can I add? So I want to thank you for this format, because again, this has been a very good format, so thank you. And then Jeff Caldwell, and please extend our thanks to Amy Woods and her team. We didn't talk about the health wraparound that's happened this past year, but that has been an immense amount of work, so thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Always an extremely informative update, and We certainly have had a lot going on for the last year, and I appreciate all of your hard work. And really, at this time, all of our staff, from Dr. Little to our everyone in this room and that works in this building, and our school level administrators and our teachers and all the support staff and the transportation and food service. I mean, everybody is just, to say it's, they're lifting more than their share is really is an understatement, because there's just so much hard work going on right now. And I, for one, very truly appreciate every ounce of effort that's being put in on behalf of our staff and our students. I would like to mention, I failed to at the beginning, just for your information, Dr. Guyton did serve as our secretary throughout this meeting. And so, thank you, Dr. Guyton, for that. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Powers. Do I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Henson. All in favor? And the motion carries. Thank you very much. Drive safe.